the sound shared on this. Let me do this one more time, actually. But I can't wait to tell you all about PrywmiO and this exciting invention that it is. And I hope that all of you have been able to have a chance to at least try it, scan on it, and like Fiona mentioned, if you've recently purchased it as well. So today we'll walk through some best practices, how to download the app, make sure you know how to use the device correctly. Before we begin, just want to say what an incredible project this has been to work on. This has been something that has been really exciting for me and my team, and it's been fun to watch you guys start to scan the world. Hopefully you've been able to see the recent posts from corporate, but we just hit our 1 million scan milestone. And this is huge because if you think about it, with the biophotonic scanner, we had that running for about 20 years, and it took us about 20 years to get 20 million scans, right? So about 1 million scans a year. But what we've been able to do, what you've been able to help us do, is hit 1 million scans in about 2.5, 3 months, which is incredible, right? And we're only just starting to roll this out. And so when thinking about healthy households and that goal that we're trying to accomplish, right? What a powerful story that we've been able to do over 1 million scans in just that short period of time. So again, huge shout out to everyone, and we're so excited to continue to see this excitement and energy grow for PrywmiO. So let's get in a little bit to what PrywmiO is, and hopefully most of you are familiar with the technology, but let's do a quick refresher on what powers the PrywmiO device. Inside the PrywmiO device, we have 5 different LEDs, and these LEDs are used to measure carotenoids in the skin. So when we think about what does PrywmiO, what's the score that we actually get? It's a nutritional wellness score, but how we measure that nutritional wellness is through the biomarker of a carotenoid. So we use light to look at carotenoids, and we measure how much light gets absorbed into carotenoids through the skin. So when people ask, carotenoids are the biomarker that we look at. And for the spectral ray technology, that's what powers PrywmiO. So powered by spectral ray, there are 3 different components to the spectral ray technology. The first is the LED lights. So what you see flashing up through the lens, we use LED lights to measure the absorption of that light into carotenoids, and that's where we get this called hyperspectral absorption. And we're doing over 700,000 measurements in that 15-second scan. So those lights that are flashing rapidly, we're taking tiny, tiny measurements throughout that 15-second scan. And we're looking at how much light was shined into the skin and how much was absorbed into the skin. And from that, we come up with a very small number. From there, we actually have taken what we've learned from the biophotonic scanner with the Raman technology. That was what powered the biophotonic scanner. And we took those hyperspectral absorption measurements, and we used an AI machine learning algorithm to come up with an equation that would help transform those LED light measurements into a numerical score. And so those 3 different components are LEDs, an AI algorithm, and Nu Skin's expertise in measuring carotenoids over the last 20 years. And so this is what makes up the spectral ray technology. This is proprietary and unique to Nu Skin. So when people say, oh, LED lights, right? A lot of other people use LED lights. The answer is yes, you see it a lot in different wearables, rings, watches, but what really sets us apart is how we've studied this for the last 20 years, right? We know carotenoids, we know the impact that lifestyle has on carotenoids, and how those scores are supposed to look. And so from there, we are able to create a more precise and targeted measurement from using LED light technology with our expertise in carotenoids. So a very special technology, and this is what powers the PrywmiO device. This is how we're able to give you a nutritional wellness score. So this is spectral ray technology. Now let's just talk a little bit more high level about the device. So when you get your PrywmiO kit, it'll come with these different parts inside of it. So of course you'll have your device, and you'll also come with the calibration disc, right? Make sure that you find that calibration disc in the package. It'll be in that little pocket inside of the travel case. Make sure you have this. This is really important because you'll use it to calibrate your device and get it set up. We also have the phone stand, which looks really nice, right? If you want to have this displayed on a desk, table, at a station, you could put your phone or iPad on that. And then we have a magnetic dock at the base of the stand so that you can set that device in there and it won't move around. So this is what comes inside of the PrywmiO package. Now, make sure the first thing you'll need to do when you get your PrywmiO device is make sure you download the PrywmiO app. Unlike our other devices, you have to set up the PrywmiO device in the app before you're able to use it. But before this happens, you'll notice that the lights will blink white on the device, and that indicates that it's in setup mode. So don't be alarmed. It just means that you need to go and download this Nu Skin app. So this is available now on Google Play and in the App Store. This version. Now, when you log in, if you already have a Nu Skin account, you will just use those same login credentials to be able to log into the app. If you don't have a Nu Skin account, you can go and create a Nu Skin account and use that to log into the PrywmiO app. So once you download the app, make sure that you stay up to date with the latest PrywmiO updates. We are constantly doing app updates. I believe we've probably done around 4 since we launched this device in December. And so we've got a lot of great features. Jesse's going to walk you through those. I'm really excited for you to see them. But it's really important that you make sure that you keep your app up to date. If you have your app store already on auto updates, then that's great. But if not, make sure to check and see if there are any updates available for the PrywmiO app. And then, like I mentioned at the beginning, when you first open up your device, the lights will blink white. Again, that is normal. That's just indicating that you need to set up the device. And so in order to do that, you'll need to download the app. And then as part of the setup process, you will pair your device, and then there will be a firmware update that will go onto your device as well. And what that firmware update does is it puts the latest software that we have available onto the PrywmiO device. So you'll do those first 2 things, pair and do a firmware update, but then the third step is that you'll need to calibrate the device as well. If you don't calibrate the device when you first set it up, those lights will still blink white. So this is a really important step to finish the setup process for the device. So here's this little video actually that will walk you through the whole setup process. So again, you see how those lights are blinking white. That again indicates that device needs to be set up. So then from here, pairing's really easy. If you only have one device in the room, it will just automatically pair to it. And then the firmware update will start, and it takes anywhere from about 40 seconds to about a minute. So you'll see those blue lights spinning. That means that the firmware update is happening. Once those lights start flashing white again, that means that the firmware update has completed. And then you can go and name your device if you would like. But this is the most important part right here, is calibrating the device. So make sure that plastic film comes off the device first, and make sure you have that calibration disc as well, because that's how you will calibrate the device. There's that 4-digit code on the bottom. Make sure you enter that in correctly. And then you can go ahead and then place the tan side of the calibration disc up. And then from here, it will run a 15-second scan. So this is the first step as part of calibrating. And then the second step is that you'll go and flip the calibration disc so that the tan side is then facing the lens. And then it will complete another 15-second scan. And this is setting unique values to your device. Every device is different, but this is how you get your device to calibrate. You remove it, and then the last step is to scan your finger, and this is how you'll get your first score. And then this will run a 15-second scan as well, and then give you your nutritional wellness score. So again, this step is really important to make sure that the lens is clean when you calibrate, and that the calibration disc itself is clean. So then from there, the white lights will disappear, and your PrywmiO device is set up. One other thing I want to show you really quickly as well. So that was the initial setup calibration, right? So when you're first setting up the device, you'll want to calibrate it. But then also the device will need recalibration as part of its maintenance. And as you use it, And so how you go and recalibrate the device is that you can find it up in that settings icon in the device tab. So there's this little gear icon. You need to make sure your device is connected, and then you'll press that gear icon in the top right-hand corner. And then when you scroll down, there should be this calibrate device button right there. That's how you can go and recalibrate your device. We will have some easier ways to check calibration and to recalibrate as part of our next app update that Jessie will highlight. But then from here, the calibration process is the same as it was before, so no difference. But again, some things to make sure you keep in mind, especially when you recalibrate the device, is one, make sure that you use that microfiber cloth on the lens before you calibrate. And then two, make sure that that calibration disc is clean as well. If you're putting it in your pocket or in the bottom of your purse or your bag, that disc can attract lint and maybe other dust, and that can impact your calibration as well. So best practice is to keep it in your travel case. Keep that calibration disc in there and the device in there to help make sure that both are staying clean and protected. And then that's how you can make sure that you have the best calibration results. And then from there, yep, the rest of the calibration process is the same. And again, I'm excited for you guys. Jessie will show you, but we will have a calibration check that's coming in the next app update. So you can feel confident as well in the device's calibration and if it needs to be recalibrated. So very simple. Calibration really only takes about a minute, maybe under a minute. Really, really simple and easy to do, but you do need to make sure lens is clean and the calibration disc is clean. Okay, big question that we get is how often should you recalibrate your PrywmiO device? In the app currently, we just have a notification or a banner that will show up in the app about every 2 weeks to prompt you to recalibrate your device if you haven't recently. However, if you have a big event coming up, I would always recommend calibrating before the big event. And also if you've traveled too recently with the device. We know shifts in temperature when you're moving the device around a lot. Again, if it's at the bottom of a bag and getting knocked around a little bit, that can impact its calibration. And so best practice is always make sure that the device is stored in its travel case if possible. And then if you do happen to leave it in the car, right, or bring it into a warmer environment or a colder environment, calibration is most likely going to be needed. Again, we're working on more prompts in the app to be able to help guide you, right? If we do notice that there is a temperature change, we have some app updates that will highlight these features and help make it a little bit easier for you to know when it's time to recalibrate. But these are just some of the best practices that we'd recommend and what the most common reasons are for recalibrating. So again, temperature changes and then before you scan at big events, really important that you recalibrate then. Okay, one other thing too that we mentioned, right, when you first set up the device is you will get a firmware update, the latest that we have available, but sometimes we'll release updates after you've already set up the device. And so when that's the case, we will have a prompt in the app that will say, hey, there's firmware update available. You can also go and check in the settings tab in the PrywmiO app. If you scroll down to this firmware section, you can hit check for updates and it will tell you if there's a firmware update available or not. One thing I do want to make sure that's clear, I know it gets a little confusing, but we have an app version and we have the PrywmiO firmware version. So again, the firmware is what runs on the device itself. The app is what you get from the App Store. And so when we say, hey, there's a latest app update, right, 1.5, that's something that you will go to the App Store to be able to make sure your app is up to date. Firmware, however, will be checked in the app. And so again, in the PrywmiO app, if there's a firmware update available, we will have a banner in there that says, hey, firmware update available, or you could go and check. So again, two different numbers. I know it's a little confusing, but that's what the differences are between the two. One other thing that's really important to keep in mind as well, this is more so for Android devices than iOS devices. But sometimes people will say, hey, I'm unable to pair or my device isn't showing up. The most common reason for this is that the Bluetooth and location services aren't enabled in your phone. This is just a phone setting, right? So if you go to your Android phone and go to your settings icon, you'll find your location and Bluetooth services in there. And so here are the instructions to be able to go and find that. But this is just a good troubleshooting tip that we've seen a lot, and just wanted to bring that to attention as well. Just making sure Bluetooth is on and location services are enabled, so that way you can pair your device. If you haven't had issues with it, then you don't need to worry about this section. Okay, so to scan, really easy for scanning the device. We just have one power button. So what you need to do to start a scan is just press that power button. Use that same index finger to scan. The important thing, right, is to use the same finger so you can track change over time. People will say, oh, I can scan multiple different fingers and I get different scores. The answer is, well, yes, every finger is different. We have a unique fingerprint on each finger as well. They're not all the same. Carotenoids do not distribute evenly throughout the skin. If you measure differently, right, you'll get different results. And the point is not to know your number everywhere, right, on all fingers. The idea is that you know where you start and you keep your same measurement, your same fingers, so that you can track change over time. That's what PrywmiO is about. That's what this nutritional wellness score is about, is tracking change over time. So make sure that you use the same finger every time you scan, and then make sure that you don't move during that scan as well. And so from here's a little video. Again, hopefully all of you have had a chance to scan on PrywmiO, but if not, again, there's that blinking red light in the center lens. That indicates that the scan is ready, so you can go and place your finger over the lens to start the scan, and it will start automatically. Also, if you lift your finger up during the scan will be interrupted, and you'll get a light leak alert saying, oh, you removed your finger. Once the scan is done, you'll see a blinking indicator light, and that indicates your color on the device. But then in the app, you'll also see your numerical score as well. And then that LED will flash just for about 7 seconds before the device is ready to scan again. Okay, let's talk a little bit about precision and accuracy. One thing that's, again, really important to keep in mind with this device is, although it looks small, it can fit in your pocket, we need to remember that this is a high science, high precision device. We are measuring such small analytes in the skin. These measurements that we are taking are very, very tiny. Again, like we talked about with that spectral ray technology, we are measuring absorption of light through carotenoids. That is very, very small. The numbers that we use ultimately to turn it into a numerical score are extremely small. And so it's important to follow these best practices every time you scan to help get a consistent score. When you're not cleaning the lens, or you're not holding still during the scan, those little things can impact your score. The same can be said about other diagnostic devices and wearables, right? There's best practices you need to follow. For example, when you get your blood pressure taken, they tell you to uncross your legs, roll your sleeve up, and you always do it on your arm, right? They don't take it in other places. And so the same best practices can then be interpreted as well for PrywmiO, right? There are things that you just need to follow in order to get the best results. And so those things that you can do to help with those results are what we call the 3 Ps. So first is prep. So again, we talked about cleaning that lens. In your PrywmiO case, you'll get a microfiber cloth. So make sure that you're using that microfiber cloth in between every scan. You may think your hands are clean, but we leave fingerprints everywhere. And you can even see that. If you scan on the PrywmiO device and remove your finger, you'll see a fingerprint there. So it's important that in between each scan, it doesn't take long at all. Just do a quick little wipe and make sure that that lens is clean. The other thing too is to make sure that your hands are clean as well. If you just ate lunch, or if you put on lotion, or have been carrying things, right, all that can impact and leave residue on your fingers. And again, because we are looking at such a small number, things like that can interfere with the score and give a differing result. So you may not always have the luxury of being able to wash your hands before every scan. So if you can't, make sure that you can wipe it. If you can use hand sanitizer or something to quickly clean your hands, let it dry, and then scan. That's how you're going to get the best results. The other thing too that's important to keep in mind is pressure. I have a lot of people, when I see them come and scan, the tendency to press on the lens really hard. You don't need to do that. In fact, when you do that, it can actually impact your score even more. So making sure that you have even pressure over the lens. You do not need to press hard. You just need enough to cover the lens to make sure no light is leaking through, but it's just a very gentle press over it. You're just covering the lens. Making sure you have that gentle pressure, making sure that you're also scanning in the center of your index finger, right? Not coming at it at the tip, but making sure that you are placing it flat over the lens will help. And then again, we talked about how the same finger every time is really important as well. The other thing too is making sure that the device is on a flat surface. It's fun to hold up. It's really easy and portable, right? And even for social media, it's kind of fun to hold it up so people can see. But for the most accurate results, most consistent results, make sure that the device is on a flat surface, and that if possible, if the person can be seated while scanning, this will help. But if not, just making sure the device is on a flat surface, and that the person who's scanning, their arm can be flat as well. And that will help with pressure and will help make sure that you're holding still during the scan. But all these little things will help with the score consistency. The other thing as well is make sure that you're scanning indoors. Again, we are measuring light, the absorption of light into the skin. And so if you're in a really bright room, or if you're outside, we do a lot to help prevent excess environmental light leak into the device. But when you're out there in full sun, right, or it's really bright, that can leak through even your own finger and impact your score. And so best practice is to scan indoors if possible. If you are outside, find a shaded spot. Just make sure it's not out in full sun. This will also help with consistent scoring as well. So again, prep, pressure, and position, all of these will help lead to more consistent results. So again, like we mentioned, making sure that you're using that center of your index finger as you are scanning. Making sure that you're not scanning on the tip, but that it's staying flat on the finger pad. And you'll see their best results when scanning this way. So again, seated is best if possible, but if not, making sure that the device is on a flat surface. One thing I get a lot of questions about is charging and how to know if the battery is low. You'll know that the battery is low when that first indicator light flashes red 3 times. It will do this in between each scan. So it'll flash 3 times and then be ready to run a scan. The next time it scans, it will do that same behavior. So you'll always know when the battery is low. We also, I believe 2 app updates ago, we added in a charger icon in the app as well. So you can go and see the battery level of your PrywmiO device. And then when you do notice that it is low, making sure that you charge the device away from water. A lot of questions we get to are, how long does it take to charge? It takes about 5 hours from completely dead battery to full battery to run or to fully charge. And then from there, you can get probably roughly around 200 scans on a full charge as well. So it can run a lot, but yeah, make sure that you charge it regularly to help make sure that you have full battery. And again, check the app. The app will have that charging icon as well to give you the battery status. And then how do you know if the PrywmiO is fully charged? You can check in the app again, because we have that icon now, or from the device. Once when it's charging, it will have a single green LED that kind of rotates through the device. When it's fully charged, there will be 6 green LEDs that just stay solid on. So no blinking, no rotating, just green LED lights on. That's how you know that the device is fully charged. And again, that will take about roughly 5 hours from a completely dead device to show the full charge battery icon. One other thing too to keep in mind is it is a battery, and like most electronic devices, best practice is to not leave it on the charger after it's finished fully charging. So when you see those solid green lights come on, make sure to take it off the charger. Don't leave it on there, as that can over time degrade battery life So just making sure that you unplug your PrywmiO device once it has reached full charge. This is the travel case that we were talking about as well. Again, best practice is to store your device inside of the travel case. Making sure as well that you put that calibration disc into the travel case as well. It's equally as important to protect that calibration disc to make sure that you have the best calibrations every time. And then make sure it does have a lithium-ion battery in there. So if you are flying with it, check the airline that you're flying with to see what their policy is on lithium-ion batteries. But it's a great case. Protect that device. Again, that lens we want to make sure stays clean and we don't want any scratches on it, because again, we are looking at such small measurements. Make sure that you take care of this device as it is a high precision device. And then here's a little video from one of our scientists on how to clean your PrywmiO device.
Many people ask, how can I clean my Prism device? The simple answer is using a microfiber cloth. Do a few short circles on the glass lens of the device. These are objects that people shouldn't be using to clean their device, as they may damage the anti-reflective coating of the glass. Things such as Kleenex, cotton swabs, makeup pads, napkins, or washcloths, or your shirt, or your pants. They may be more convenient, but they could damage the anti-reflective coating, which may cause your device to have a change in performance.
So again, really important to keep that microfiber cloth in there, as that's the best way to be able to clean that lens and keep it protected. So with that, hopefully